Okay, we're back on the research subject, and in my last little chapter, we talked about a couple books. And because I'm in Arizona, we're using Placer Deposits of Arizona and Arizona Gold Plasters and Plasterings by Wilson. And this one's by Maureen Johnson. They're both compiled from the Arizona Bureau of Mines and stuff, and it's pretty good reading. The trick is learning how to use these books. And that's one thing, you go out and buy the books, then you start reading it and you're still confused. So we're going to do a little short one today on how to use these books and how I use these books. Now, number one, everything in these books is going to be in township and range. Okay, and what I mean by that, this book's just messed up. I've had this book so long. But as you see right here, the directions and locations are set in township and range. All right, now that's kind of tough for a lot of people. Oh, this poor book. To use because they don't understand how to use the township and range. And fortunately, with today's computer world, we have, I use EarthPoint. Okay, and EarthPoint is a program, and yes, it's just EarthPoint, EarthPoint.us, and you go there and you can find overlays for Google Earth. And I use Google Earth a lot. You can actually go in there and look at the roads. You can look at the area really well. You can actually see where areas have been dry washed and mined before. Okay, so you got the book. And we're going to use San Domingo placer area here in Arizona, actually right in my backyard almost, as a starting point to learn how to use these books. Now, I've got both these books set up for that page, and with the Placer Deposits of Arizona book, you also get a map. And with the map, it shows you different placer deposits in the state of Arizona. Okay, so we're going to open this map up for you. And I like the map because you can kind of look at the map and decide on places you might want to go or might not want to go. And San Domingo placers, let's see, and San Domingo placers are listed as, uh-oh, I lost my page, number 19. So it would be 19 on here, I would assume. 19. Okay. Here are, oops. Yeah, you can tell none of this is rehearsed, right? Okay. Number 19. Morristown, Arizona, and the San Domingo placers. Okay. Now, why would I pick that if I'm new to all this and everything? Well, it's right by my house. Okay, so I know there was a lot of placer gold that came from right by my house. That's exciting when you're starting out. You're thinking, okay, this is a place I can look at. Now, we open up the books. And we're going to read about San Domingo a little bit. Now, both these books have basically the same information. The difference between the two books is the authors put things in each book that may not be in the other book. So it really pays to have both of them. No map comes with the book by Wilson. It does in the book by Johnson. Okay? And we're going to read about San Domingo a little bit. Location, south flank of the Wickenburg Mountains, northeast of the Hassayampa River, TPS 6 and 7 north, RS 3 and 4W. Okay? And we got topographic maps, Wickenburg and Red Picacho 7.5-minute quadrangles. So you know what map to get. And geological map, Wilson and Moore and Pierce, 1957, geological map of Maricopa County. And it also shows properties. And I got lots of maps in here, and it shows the different properties. I got geological maps that show the different minerals in the ground. And it really helps when you're using these books. Now, no, you don't have to be a geologist. Knowing a little geology helps. And if you don't know any geology, you can learn as you go. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay, so access. Jeep trails lead to the low hills on the north side of US Highway 60, 70, 89. It's just Highway 60 now. Near San Domingo Wash, 7 miles southeast of Wickenburg and 3 miles northwest of Morristown. I live in Morristown, so that's just 3 miles northwest of my house. Extent. The placers in the San Domingo district are found in San Domingo Wash, its tributaries, and adjacent washes. and on mesas between gulches, period. The placer area is southwest of a low range of hills that includes the prominent San Domingo Peak. The drainage of the area is southwestward to the Hassayampa River. Many washes are mentioned in the literature as scenes of active placer mining, but the topographic maps of the area locate only San Domingo Wash, which drains through sections 25 and 26 and 35, T7 North, R4W. Okay, that's your township and range. Now, to be able to look exactly where that is, you get this township range converter, and I believe it's free. You can go to you can pay and get more features, but it's free. And you can overlay this over your Google Earth and actually see right where this book is showing you to go. Okay, and it goes on to tell you about several gulches, a little San Domingo Wash, like I said, Red Picacho Quadrangle. Other washes, Placer at Old Woman Gulch, Rogers Gulch, American Gulch, Spring Gulch, and Sanger Gulch. Old Woman Gulch is described in the southern tributary of San Domingo Wash. The two tributaries enter San Domingo Wash from the south, and again, it goes and shows you that in township and range. And it goes on to give you more information on where the main workings were in the area. Okay, and that's really cool. Okay, so now you know where the main workings were in the area. And the same information, like I said, is going to be in this book, but it's going to be described a little differently. Now we're going to go to production history. And this is where it really gets interesting. Production history is very important because as a nugget shooter or nugget hunter with a metal detector, I'm not looking for fine gold. I'm looking for gold nuggets. So areas that weren't well known for nuggets, I still go to these areas and I found nuggets in them. But some of the areas were well known for nice nuggets. And San Domingo is one of those areas. And we're going to talk about production history now. The San Domingo district has the largest recorded placer gold production in Maricopa County and produced continuously, although on a small scale, from 1905 to 1951. During the early 1960s, gold was recovered as a byproduct of gravel operations and a large-scale operations of a mobile dryland dredge, named Geraldine, of all things. It is not known when the placers were discovered, but the district was actively worked during the period of 1870 to 1880. It is said that the greatest production occurred during this time, when individual placer miners discovered $15 to $100 per day. Now think about that a minute. That's at less than $20 an ounce. Old Woman Gulch was a large producer in 1875. One report indicates from 1885, and American Gulch reported to produce fortunes to California miners at the same time. Between 1910 and 1912, the district was actively prospected by Mr. John Sanger, who started the Latawada Mining Company and planned to mine 4,000 acres of placer ground on a large scale. And that failed. What they did was build a huge dam. And I guess the dam's 40 feet high, maybe more. And it caught water all right. But the first monsoon season, when they planned to fill the dam with water and start hydraulicing down below, it filled up with gravel in one season. And a lot of gravel moves in these washes, and it didn't take long to come right up level with the top of that dam. And that dam's still there. And if you're not careful running up and down the big San Domingo Wash in your four-wheeler or truck or whatever you're riding, you go right off that dam and drop about 50 feet, 40, 50 feet to the bottom. And yeah, it's dry most of the time. There's a little water that seeps out down there, and so there's a lot of bees around. They like that water. Okay, back to the book. Now, the source of the gold. This goes on to tell you, we're going to read about the size of the gold first here. Fine gravel minus 3/16 of an inch mesh contain most of the gold. Okay, coarser gravel plus 3/16 of an inch to minus 3/4 inch gravel is sent to a nugget trap part of the time. During the period of 1960-62, a dryland dredge, Geraldine, owned by United Placer Industries Incorporated, worked the gravels in the San Domingo district. The operation of this dredge received considerable attention in mining journals, and production records were not known and kept confidential. Okay, they got a lot of nuggets. Okay, and there was so much fine gold and stuff there that a lot of the nugget traps and stuff were set, like they said, to just 3/4 of an inch. So anything bigger than that went right over. And we've got a lot of nuggets out of the San Domingo district that are quite a bit bigger than that. And my friend Jim Boxberger got a nugget out of there that weighed 2.27 pounds and had over, I think it was a pound and just over a pound and a half of actual gold in the specimen. That was quite a find. That was sold to one of the Massey brothers. The source, okay, this is where it gets tricky for some people. Okay, the source. I don't know geology. You have to learn some geology if you're going to get out on your own and hunt for gold. You don't have to learn and go to school and become an expert geologist like my friend Chris Ralph, although if you were, it would really help you. But you do have to learn what rocks are associated with gold deposits in a particular area. And that's not going to be the same in every area. All right? This book can be your best friend or a similar book. Okay? And I'll tell you why in just a second. Source. The San Domingo district is predominantly a placer mining district, and there's very little literature available that describes the gold-bearing veins. The origin of the placer gold is said to be from Precambrian and Post-Cambrian veins in the area. Precambrian and Post-Cambrian. That is old. That means it didn't just come from those mountains right over there. Those mountains may not have been there when this gold was laid down. And it's been laying out here, moving around with geological events and for millions and millions of years. Okay, we're going to go down here to, and down, 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 down. Next page. Okay, this goes on to give you more information in the books you can read. It tells you about the gravels and more about it. And we're going to go over to here. San Domingo. Okay, now this is the other book. This is the book by Wilson, and it goes into some more detail here. Okay, and it actually goes into the geology instead of just the source. So by having both these books, you've got more information at your fingertips. Where I don't get the geology in here and just kind of explains where the gold was found, how much gold was found. This tells you a little bit more about it and where the gold came from and what it's actually associated with. So we're going to skip the first part of this and go right into history and production. The gold placers of this region were discovered many years ago. The greatest activity of the region was reported to have been between 1870 and 1880 when the towns and placer miners when the towns of Old San Domingo and New San Domingo were maintained by the placer miners. About 1875, Old Woman Gulch, which you heard about before, which is a tributary, was a large producer. Several projects have been planned for hydraulic in certain parts of this area. Dams have been proposed to catch the torrential runoff of the rainy season, divert the subsurface water of Hassayampa Creek. In 1910, Mr. Sanger built a dam, but it filled in one season. Now, the geology. The principal rocks of this region are Precambrian granites, gneiss, and schists. Okay? Tertiary basalts, andesites, rhyolites, agglomerates, and sandstones, and various dikes. Quartz veins, probably of both Precambrian and Postcambrian age, have furnished the gold that erosion has concentrated in the placers. Okay, that's important. Now, a lot of people know what granite is. I mean, it's pretty common. I mean, they make countertops out of it, and that's pretty common. Okay, but what is gneiss? Spelled G-N-E-I-S-S-E. And what is schist? Spelled S-C-H-I-S-T. Okay, well, without further ado, we're going to look it up right here in this book. So I don't know what that is at all, and I'm going to look it up. Well, I do know, but I mean, you don't know what that is at all. We're going to pretend here, and we're going to look this up. And we're going to go back on the book here, and we're going to look up, first we're going to look up the gneiss. And geology has a bad habit of spelling things kind of funny and then pronouncing them a totally different way. You learn that as you move along. Okay, galena, granite, gold, graphite. Nice. And we got page 22 and plates 2 and 3. Okay, page 22 is going to tell us all about it. And plates 2 and 3 are right here. Okay, there's plate 2. Okay, and here's plate 3, which gives you a pretty good picture of the mineral itself, or the rock itself. And then you go and read about it in here, and it's going to explain to you how it was formed, when it was formed, and how it's associated with other minerals. That's what's important. Okay, so these are some of the rocks that you're going to need to learn to identify. If you're going to get out on your own and start learning, you're going to have to be able to identify these rocks. Now we're going to go to schist. Schist is pretty easy to identify out in the field, even if you're kind of a layman. It's foliated, which means it kind of comes apart like a deck of cards, like pages in a book. And it's kind of neat stuff. And because of the way it comes apart, it catches gold real well too. And it's often associated with gold, and gold will be deposited with it or near it. And well, let's see, schist. Schist, plate number 5, and it describes it on 22. Mica schist, number 6. Now these are black and white photos. It's down here in the corner. These are black and white photos, but you can get books with colored photos. It gives you much better detail. Or we have the magic of the computer. So what I would do normally, I take this book with me to identify stuff in the field. But what I do normally, if I'm looking up a rock or a mineral and I'm not sure what it is, I go right to the computer. You can get some great pictures, great descriptions, and it's very helpful. But like I said, if you're going to be out on your own looking for gold, looking for new deposits, you really need to learn some of this stuff, because you're not going to find new deposits by asking other people where to go. And it's not new if somebody's already been there. And a lot of places somebody's already been, but they haven't been there since the early days. And by doing research, understanding the rocks and minerals in an area, and reading about the area, you know where to put yourself and what you're looking for in the gravels of the placer. Okay? And like I said, I'm trying to do this all in layman's terms, well, because I'm a layman. And we're now going to go, okay, we're past the placers occupy a belt 6 or 7 miles long and a regular width along the drainage system of San Domingo Wash. They are not confined to the stream beds alone, but are found also on some of the gravelly mesas that separate the gulches. On the mesas, that means on top. And these are the kind of areas I like. That means the gold can be anywhere. Yeah, it's going to be more concentrated in the washes and stuff, but that's where everybody else goes. Up on the hillsides and the sides of the hills and top of the mesas, I found some mighty good gold up there, my friends. The gold itself is said to be angular, fairly coarse, and of 925 to 965 fineness. Several prospectors of the region state that although much of the gold found in the placers is worth about $1 for the pieces, now think about that, $18 an ounce, and most of them are worth about $1. That's a pretty good sized nugget. Although much of the gold was found, as large pieces worth about $1, nuggets valued at $30 were common. That's over an ounce in the early days, and several worth $10 to $15 were found in 1925. The gold is reported to lie mostly near bedrock in the upper reaches of the gulches, but somewhat distributed through the gravels of the lower country. Gold can be anywhere, anywhere out there. And San Domingo's proved that to me over and over. When I walk over a nugget in a spot and I look around, I go, why in the world is that nugget even here? Well, it's because that placer deposit's so old and the gold's been moved around so much that it's fairly well distributed through the gravels from top to bottom. There's richer pockets, and some of the washes and stuff are a lot richer. But the point is the gold can be found anywhere out there. The gravels of the lower country and seem to be associated with considerable black sand. Although the areas worked by the early day dry washers are rather rich, most of the ground is of too low grade for such treatment. Perfect for the nugget hunter. That means these guys didn't work every square inch of ground out there. They worked the rich stuff and just left the rest. It just wasn't worth moving all that dirt for a few nuggets and a bunch of fines. According to T.L. Carter, part of the Lottawada Mining Company property along Rogers Wash was tested by over 200 holes in an area 300 to 350 acres, 2.5 miles wide, 1,000 feet long, was found to range from 20 feet to bedrock and to average from 40 to 80 cents per cubic yard. Sanger wash was sampled by several people, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. Recent operations, it tells you about those. And then it goes on to the next batch of plasters. Okay, now I stumbled through this. I tripped over my words a little bit, but that's just how I roll. What I'm trying to do is show you how to work these books and the information that's available to you out there. And then take that information to the next level. Because when I started hunting, my friends, this wasn't available, the computer. I didn't have Google Earth. All I had was these books, paper maps, and a desire to find nuggets. And there weren't a lot of people that were willing to help back then. Nowadays, you got an advantage. There's a lot of us on YouTube and elsewhere that are more than willing to help you learn how to find gold. All you got to do is be willing to watch it. And I'm going to go on with this some more. And we're actually going to get out in the field, and we're going to take the geology book with us. And we're going to take our books with us, and we're going to actually look at some of these areas and identify some of the rocks that are in the placer gravels. And interestingly, these plasters are so old that a lot of the uplifted materials, due to later volcanics and whatnot, actually have most of the placer gravels have washed off down into the lower end, but you can still find gold caught in the volcanic tuft and some of the basalt and andesite areas that the placer gravels washed off of because the gold's heavy, it got stuck. And I'll show you some of the different minerals in hand, looking at them in the field, and we'll go over that together. And I think that'll be pretty helpful. Now, we all want to get out there and find that big nugget or that new patch. But that's not going to happen unless you're willing to actually sit down and do some research. Try new areas. Don't be afraid to get skunked. Geez, there's been times I've gone weeks hunting new areas. In the back of my mind, I know the gold's there, but I just keep pounding the area, and I can go weeks without finding a nugget. And then you walk into a good spot, and boom, you're finding them all day long. Well, spots are still out there. Don't let anybody tell you they're not, but you're going to have to go out there and find them. Boots on the ground, doing a lot of research, and really hitting it hard. This is not easy. And although it makes some people make it look kind of easy, it's really not easy. And we work hard for the gold we find, my friends. And I'll cut this one short for now. And like I said, we'll continue here next time. And we're going to go out in the field and look a little bit of the material out here at San Domingo area, since this is what we're learning about right now. I'm using this as an example only. And I just think it's cool to be able to go through all this stuff and then go out there and show you the actual ground that we've been talking about. And I'll even take you and show you where that big 2-pound nugget came from. That's pretty wild. I told a story about that. But anyway, for now, if you're enjoying learning with me and want to learn more, like, subscribe, and ring that little bell down there. And I'd sure like to hear a comment if you want to know something, or there's something you don't quite understand. I'll be more than happy to clear it up for you. So for today, that's it. Nugget Shooter out.